This ad did not land well at all. It was a marketing fail. Please explain why. And not just, I mean, there are the obvious whys to this, but I'm interested from both of your expertise, why on the back end did this fail happen? From your analysis.
I know, we could sit here all day on that one. All right, each of us has seen the video by now. Some of us a couple of times. For me in particular, and being a marketer, I saw it multiple times because it had a lot of potential. Anyone that saw the video, if you literally cut out strategic parts, it could have been a phenomenal movement and moment for Pepsi to be present and to actually acknowledge what's happening right now without completely taking away the purpose of the current movement. One of the things that I felt was the biggest fail before it even got to the point of even being produced was an internal issue. For me to find out that there was no external ad agency to blame on this one, and this actually happened with their own in-house team, said that there's too many yes people internally that actually co-signed this and thought that this was a good idea to go into production. Somebody actually went into the boardroom and sat at a table in between 10 to 15 people and went through rounds and rounds and rounds of meetings to flesh this idea out. And at no point in time did someone actually have a seat at the table and say, this isn't a good idea. We need to change this so that way all voices are heard. You had that one yes person that became 5, that became 10, that became 20, that all of them touched this project and said, you know what? This is valid. This represents not only the community we're trying to reach out to as prospective customers, but this is our audience. They're going to love this. Baby Jesus. I was baffled because all the way up to that point, I don't know if you guys actually, some of you, because there's a long version and there's a short version. The short version only gave us the joy that happened at the end. The long version, that's the 2-minute and 30-second version, has a great original track. I was rocking to it. It gave me a little bit of Bob Marley action to it. I was like, oh, okay, this feels nice. And then it was showing me different creatives. I'm a marketer. I love the mess out of some creatives. All right, you have the struggling photographer. She's looking through some film. She has an old giant DSLR camera on the table. This is getting good. People taking to the streets. Come on, activists, I'm in it, I'm with you. And this whole time I didn't even realize that Kardashian was chilling in the corner doing that photo shoot. Because I was with the movement, I was marching with them. I was like, y'all go on ahead. And then for you guys to take from that moment and say, you know what, let's interject this 2-second love story. Let's have the gentleman look at her as she's doing this shoot and summon her to come and join the cause. They still didn't lose me yet, because I was like, it could still be onto something. She could be moved because of all these creatives taking to the streets. So now she wants to take to the streets. I'm still with you. You didn't lose me yet. She marches right in the middle of the street in her denim Coachella jacket, and I was still there. I was like, you know what? She's just fashionable. I might have a blazer to march. I'm still with you. But when that child got passed off to Pepsi and broke the line to go up to the officer and pass it, where is your team? And so I couldn't blame anyone on the top level first. I had to go back to that same boardroom, to that same office where this even had its roots to begin with. And this is the main issue that we're always trying to cultivate at creatives, regardless of industry, of needing to have a seat at the table. This is why diversity matters. Because if you even had just that one person that says this is going to fail miserably and all of the money invested in this project is going to be in vain, somebody would have thought twice. But without having somebody have that seat at the table and you having a sea of yes people, that's how these type of projects come to fruition. It's not just a Pepsi issue. In most failures, it's because someone wasn't represented at that table that had that hindsight, that could have gave that insight to that valued piece of that demographic. These are the same companies and industries that are actually phasing out focus groups because they don't see the importance in it. They're looking at the data, and the data tells them to go towards pop culture, go towards influencers, go towards celebrities, and they're removing farther and farther away from the same audiences that got them this claim to fame to begin with, the end users. So if they had even one person that represented that end user, even if it's not in their own company, but if they had a focus group that they showed this to, somebody would have shook a table. And that didn't happen before we got all the joy of that 2-minute, 30-second clip or that 30-second clip. So before I could blame anybody, right down to the Kardashian, I blame that boardroom because somebody should have had a valid seat at the table that represented diversity to say that it was a problem to begin with. That's the core for me is culture. And anybody in the company culture that could see that and say that it's all right, you intrinsically have a problem in that company.
That was, everything you just said. But so when this video first came out, the night it came out, me and my coworkers literally sat down frame by frame and tore it apart. None of it impressed me. I was offended by every frame. I can talk about from when the Kardashian took off her wig and handed it to a black woman.
Yes.
What she was dressed in was very slavish. To the Filipino brother who was kind of asexual and didn't show a threat, he had to give to nod, which to me goes back to demasculating an Asian man. What else? The fact that the last image would portray the sister who went against the police and stood tall as they ran up on her.
Yep.
There was, what else? The sister who was Muslim. You know, if you even look at the picture, there's two white males that are circled. That's the only picture of happiness on that whole palette that she was looking at. There's one image that looks like someone was shot laying in the street. I couldn't tell because it got really pixelated, but that's what it looked like. The two brothers that were dancing in the street, if you look closely at their clothes, the one brother with the hat on who's just dancing and popping looked very slavish. The quality of what he was wearing, if you watch like any slave movie, you'll see that it was pretty much the same type of clothes. If you see with the brother that had on that had the cornrows, he looked like he just got out of jail. Just talking from personal experience, when you get out of jail, they give you khakis and a blue t-shirt. So all that imagery to me was like fail, 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 fail. And the fact that with the Filipino brother, it took him to get her to come like that head nod, like, come on, go ahead and do it. And then the Pepsi with what I call the woke juice was disgraceful. I mean, for me, especially after seeing Get Out, that was like, was Get Out really based on the Kardashians? Like, what is really going on? So there was so many fails in that for me. Like you said, there was obviously no one of color at that table to say none of this is right. And again, it's just showing that it would take a white person, and no disrespect to anyone who's of the Caucasian descent, but it showed that it takes a white person once again to save us. And we're here to dance and play and give you all types of fun through samboing, basically, shucking and jiving, and that's it. And then I think the first image we see of black people were two black women just walking down, smiling. There's one scene, which is nothing's wrong with that, but then you go to another scene where you see an older brother throwing up the fist, walking and smiling. Like, it just doesn't seem like a true, it just doesn't seem like an authentic moment. And then there's another scene where there's a white dude throwing up the hands up, don't shoot, where you probably don't see it because it's literally for like 0.5 seconds, but I literally went frame by frame, not to go on and on, but it was a complete and utter fail, and somebody should be fired at the in-house agency.
Yeah, well, there you have it. If you haven't seen it, geez, I don't want to promote it, but I did have to watch it because I was like, I have to actually see this. And for me, I was like, okay, aesthetically this is beautiful, but now I'm going to watch it again because I want to see those things. Because in speaking to being content creators, it's really important to know how imagery affects our audience and beyond the audience. So my question to both of you based on that is, you know, many of us out here are content creators, and how can we leverage on the beginning level, we're not Pepsi, not a huge corporation, but using our social media, how can we leverage the messages that are out there or use our audience without using our audience? How can we assess what is out there? And when we create new web series or short films, not set out to offend or to really have those checks and balances. Because I think even within, communities of color, if you will, it's important to know there's diversity within Blackness, for instance. How do we keep ourselves accountable on a smaller scale?
There are a lot of surveys, honestly, you can do, whether you have a focus group, but there's SurveyMonkey, and you can test throughout your friends, you can test through people that love you and want to see you succeed, and you can do it that way. That's one quick way to do it. There's also advertising tool called iSpot TV, where you can go and just see certain promos and things that are on TV, certain commercials, and they have analytics on everything. I think it's like $30 a month to sign up for it, but those are some quick tools that you can use. But I think if we're creating content for people of color, we will know what offends us and what doesn't offend us. Like for example, the one thing that I question even in that Pepsi commercial, so the Muslim sister, when she goes and she hugs the black dude, would a Muslim sister really be able to hug that black dude like that and not take away from her culture, or take away, because I have Muslim friends who, they really aren't allowed to touch a man unless it's their husband. So even that imagery, I was like, I don't know. But yeah, those are some of the things in my experience that you can do to find out about what the take back will be.
And on my end, of course, I'm in fashion, so we love data. In addition to what was talked about extensively in the last panel, and using Google Analytics to kind of scan your customer behavior, there's also a sea of CI, customer intelligence companies that will help you do better profiling of your customer data that you already have at your disposal. Your site visitors, if you have any e-commerce component on your website, there's a lot of companies that will help you drill down into that data, where they'll look into your CMS program, and they can literally very well develop profiles on each of your customers based on not only their buying patterns, but also based on like their hyper-local location that they've had over the course of time in them buying with you. So that way you can, as opposed to similar to what happens when you proactively give them a survey, they do have a tendency to tell you what they think you want to hear because they're trying to get something. Because a lot of times our surveys are tied to initiatives. Fill out this survey and get this gift card, or get this piece of merchandise. So they're doing it for a purpose, so they want to appease you, so they're not going to tell you some harmful information. Versus when you're looking at CI companies, they're looking across the board at sentiment, not just positive sentiment, but also negative sentiment, so that way you can fuel it, so that way you're not going to have a Pepsi issue, because it's not going to just tell you what your customers love, it's also going to identify some of the pain points for your customers in the communities that you're serving. One of the companies that I like that's doing this well on like a large scale, but I know that there's also smaller companies that are doing this, there's a company called BG, Biogenomics. And what they do is, after getting your CMS data down to, they can have as little as just the email address, they'll map it across to their database, which pretty much has everything from their income range to the different buying preferences that they have, and it really tells a full customer story down to specific groups that they could be in. Your average customer could be in anywhere to 4 to 5 groups based on them either being what everybody likes to call as a millennial. Millennial is a blanket term. Most of us in this room probably fall as millennials, but we're each so distinct that we probably have 5 to 6 distinct personas that we could all fit into. It gives you that map, and that way you could actually personalize the customer experience. And I think that a lot of the fails that you encounter, not only does it boil down to an internal issue with people not having a seat at the table, it's based on a lot of companies failing to personalize that message to the same audience that they're trying to sell to, because they still think that a one-size-fits-all can really cater to their audience. Oh, we'll find one message, and if it traditionally has been a hit with other audiences, everybody's going to love it. Versus now we're in a state of time where everybody's expecting a dedicated message specifically for them, or they don't want it at all. So now it's too late. People don't just want their own media in their own time. They also want to see only what they came to see. And so that customer data is going to really get you closer to that. So even though I'm in that fashion space, for those of you that are developing videos and web series, it can help you for when you're trying to create that micro content for your overall web series. And so that way you're tailoring it to those different audiences as opposed to putting all your money into that one bucket campaign. You can have those 10 micro niche campaigns that are catering to these specific personas, and it can still be accommodated on that same budget. So that's something that I kind of beg of you guys to do with that CI and that customer intelligence, is to really drill down and just personalize it as much as possible. That's how you can prevent a lot of these errors, because they'll tell you quickly in these smaller silos if it's for them or not. The main way that they say that it's for them is by consuming it, by buying what you're selling to them. If they don't consume or they rebel against you, you got it wrong, but at least you got it wrong with the smaller speck of your audience. They're getting it wrong with everybody. IIP Pepsi.